Hi, I'm Mandy from Learn with Ruby. And first, let me say this. I've been where you are. My dog Ruby was diagnosed with epilepsy over 8 years ago, and I still remember that first wave of confusion, fear, and overwhelm like it was yesterday. If your dog was recently diagnosed, you might feel like the ground just shifted underneath you. Maybe the vet said idiopathic epilepsy and you nodded, but inside you were thinking, what does that really mean? What happens next? And can my dog still have a good life? Let's answer those questions together, step by step. Epilepsy is a neurological condition that causes seizures, sudden bursts of abnormal electrical activity in the brain. Think of the brain like an electrical grid. Some of the time signals flow smoothly, but in epilepsy, sometimes there's a sudden power surge causing a seizure. Epilepsy isn't a disease itself, it's a label for a pattern of seizures that happen over time, usually without an underlying cause like a tumor or toxin. When vets can't find a specific reason after testing, they often call it idiopathic epilepsy. Idiopathic simply means we don't know the exact cause. It's common, and it doesn't mean your dog is broken. It just means the brain is more prone to misfiring, and your vet will help manage those misfires with the right tools and medication. If idiopathic epilepsy feels vague, don't worry. The Understanding Canine Epilepsy PDF found in the lesson downloads sums it all up in a one-page visual for quick reference. You're not alone. Epilepsy is the most common chronic neurological condition in dogs, with certain breeds being at higher risk than other breeds. It's important to know that epilepsy is not contagious and it's not something you caused. It can have a genetic link, but sometimes it appears in dogs with no family history at all. Here's what a diagnosis of epilepsy does and does not mean. It does mean your dog has had 2 or more unprovoked seizures. Seizures are likely to happen again. Your vet may recommend long-term management, usually with medication. It does not mean your dog's life is over, does not mean your dog can't live a happy, joyful life, and does not mean you are powerless. With the right plan, many dogs live long, joyful lives, just like Ruby. When she was diagnosed, I was terrified. But with medication, a routine, and good veterinary care, she has been thriving for over 8 years with epilepsy. Many dogs receive an epilepsy diagnosis after having multiple seizures and going through some form of diagnostic testing. Epilepsy is a diagnosis of exclusion, meaning vets rule out other possible causes first. Here are some of the tests your vet may have done or may still recommend. Blood work and urinalysis to check for liver issues, low blood sugar, or toxins. Bile acids test to evaluate liver function. MRI or CT scan to look for brain abnormalities or tumors, usually by a neurologist. Spinal tap, then CSF analysis to rule out infection or inflammation. If tests are normal and seizure onset was between 6 months and 6 years, idiopathic epilepsy is likely. Outside of that range, or if the neural exam isn't normal, advanced imaging, MRI, and CSF analysis are typically recommended. We will dive more into what this looks like next. There are 3 general categories. Here's what each one means in plain language and how it guides care. Idiopathic epilepsy. This is the most common type. The brain looks normal, but it's prone to seizures. It's likely genetic. It tends to show up usually between 6 months and 6 years. Clues that this is idiopathic epilepsy: there is a normal exam and normal behavior between seizures. The care is typically long-term seizure management, such as meds, routines, and trigger awareness. Structural epilepsy. This is when seizures are caused by something in the brain. For example, a tumor, stroke, or vascular event, trauma, a congenital malformation, or brain inflammation. It tends to show up with very young, so less than 6 months, or older than 6 or 7 years at the onset, or it shows up when the neurological exam isn't normal between seizures. Clues to it being structural epilepsy are behavior changes, pacing, circling, vision issues, wobbliness, or other neurologic deficits. This is checked through an MRI to see the brain, and often a spinal tap and CSF analysis to look for inflammation or infection. For structural epilepsy, the care is treating the underlying cause. That could be surgery, steroids, immune therapy, antibiotics, plus anti-seizure meds. And finally, reactive seizures, which is when a problem in the dog's body temporarily triggers the brain to seize. Common culprits are toxins, low blood sugar, liver or kidney disease, or electrolyte imbalances. The key here is once the trigger is fixed or removed, seizures stop. So we don't call this epilepsy. This is ruled out by checking a dog's history, possible exposures, blood work, urinalysis, and targeted tests. The care for reactive seizures is to correct the cause, and the use of short-term anti-seizure meds may be used while stabilizing the dog. Most dogs with seizures fall into the idiopathic category, the first one I talked about. That's the diagnosis Ruby has. Her brain seems normal, but it's prone to seizures. There isn't a cure yet, but there are very effective treatments. The goal of treatment is not always 0 seizures. Instead, the goal is to reduce the frequency and severity of seizures, minimize side effects from medication, and help your dog maintain a high quality of life. We call this seizure management, and the rest of this course will walk you through how to do it with confidence. Yes, treatment is long-term and costs can add up, but there are affordable ways to manage them. We'll cover that in a later module. Just a little quick break from the lesson and then we'll get back. If you have children, seizures can be scary for them. And so you have to figure out a way of how to explain it to them. As a school psychologist, one of the things that I've learned over the 20 years of my career is kids are smart. And if you can explain information to them in a way that they can understand it, they no longer have fear over it and they like to know how they can help. So I wrote a children's book called Ruby's Rhythms. Let's learn about epilepsy, starring Ruby. Yeah, because she's a good girl. And it talks about her epilepsy, what's happening when she's having a seizure, and how her friends, the neighborhood kids, can help during that. So check it out. It's in the description below. There's a link to Amazon where you can purchase it. Now back to the lesson. It's completely normal to feel a swirl of emotions right now: fear, confusion, anger, sadness. Maybe you've Googled too much and now you're overwhelmed. Maybe you're replaying everything, every moment, wondering if you missed something. But please hear this. You did not cause this. You're not behind. And you are your dog's greatest advocate, and they are lucky to have you. Ruby is incredibly happy, loves her walks, and loves being with people. Epilepsy didn't take those things away, and it won't for your dog either. And you don't have to figure this out alone. That's why I created this course, to give you the information, tools, and support I wish I had when Ruby was first diagnosed. In the next lessons, we'll talk about how to work with your vet, understand medication options, and create a routine that works for your dog and your life. But for now, just breathe. You're here, you're learning, and that's right where you need to be. Before moving on to the next lesson, download the resources found in the lesson download section. They're designed to take some of the weight off your shoulders right now. Understanding Canine Epilepsy. It's a one-page visual breaking down what epilepsy is, what it's not, and the possible causes. Print it, keep it on your fridge, or save it on your phone. It's also a great way to help family, friends, or pet sitters understand your dog's condition without you having to explain it over and over. Questions to ask your veterinarian. It's a powerful tool for your next appointment. It covers key questions that many pet parents forget to ask in the moment, with space for your own notes. Even if your dog was just diagnosed, being prepared to have an ongoing dialogue with your vet will help you feel more empowered and in control. See you in the next lesson.